When I stepped into the position of ownership, and now I talk to owners all over, and specifically female agency owners, because less than 1% of agencies are owned by women. And that is something I'm actively working to change. I love this business more now than, I even did in the beginning, and I didn't think that that would be possible. I knew I could do it differently. I just didn't know if that would be successful also. So I needed to prove both. People would enjoy that and really rally behind that, and they did.
I'm really excited for today's guest because she has built an incredibly successful agency. She's on her way to being the best small agency in the country. And when she says small, she has what most small agencies would consider a large team. She's incredibly successful in a world that is dominated by men. If you want advice on how to grow an incredibly successful business, both in revenue and in team and leadership dynamics and with great clients, I have a really special guest today for you because Christy Hiler is the CEO and owner of Cornett, a female-owned advertising agency in Lexington, Kentucky. She's got an incredible team. She does incredible work for incredible clients. And if you want some wisdom on not just how to build your revenue and build your sales, but how to build a team and culture and leadership structure and deliver an exceptional product to your clients, today's guest is going to give you some wisdom that is going to be hard to get anywhere else. So welcome to the show, Christy Hiler.
Hi, thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, I'm really, really excited to dig into today's show just because, looking at your resume, you have such a track record of success after success after success of growing your agency. And so maybe the best place to start is, when you think about growing, when you think about scaling, marketing, and selling your business, like what is your kind of core mindset around, let's just say growth of a company? How do you think about setting out to set a goal and reach a goal, and how do you process through all those pieces?
Well, I would say step one, set a big goal. For us as an agency, this was, something that from the very beginning, I had a big vision for this agency and what it could be. And I felt like we could be anything. Despite when I started in this agency, I didn't found this agency. I want to start by saying that. So I had been here almost 20 years before I purchased 100% of the agency. That was about 3.5 years ago. But before that, it was about 7 or 8 years ago that I took over as president. So I've been here a long time, but very early on, like I said, had a big vision. I believed that we could be one of the best agencies in this business. At the time when I joined, we were not. We were a local agency, local and regional. But I felt like we could grow to compete on the national stage. But I play a long game. I knew it would take time. And what we were going to have to do was improve the work. And so my mindset around growth is long, okay? And even now, I still think about growth and responsible growth. I am not looking, and I have not really ever looked to see, huge swings, mainly because I've seen a lot of agencies do it and not do it well. And so what I prefer is more like 10 to 15% growth year over year over year over year. And that is how we have gotten to this place. I like to be in a position of strength. I like to constantly be growing, but that is both in business, but also individually. I think that collectively we have goals to be the best agency in this business, but that requires us to have people working to be the best in this business. So I set a big goal and then I break it down. And here's how we're going to achieve it. And some of that is what we are all working towards, but I get everybody on board. So we're all working towards the same thing. So here's the vision, set it, communicate it, and then start breaking it down. What do we need to do by each department? And then what do each of the people within that department need to be doing in order to see the growth this year and over the next 5 to 10 years?
One thing that stuck out to me, and one question I have for you is, anybody listening, I think what's really important is to hear, Christy, you set out this big, huge, massive vision, like to be the best in the space. I mean, I that's our vision, is to be the best in the outbound space, like our vertical specifically. And I think a lot of times people set out, they get excited, and there's this like woo-ha, let's do it. And then 6 months or a year goes by, and they're like, oh, we're not there yet. We don't have the progress that we want yet. But where did, anybody knows, I've been in this business since 2015, and anybody knows that has built something big and significant, that it really does take just consistency over time and a willingness to stick with it for however long it takes, whether a decade or 2 decades. I mean, you've been with the company for 20 years now. Where did that resolve to do whatever it takes for however long it takes come from? And was this like you're a little girl and this is how you've been setting out goals and visions? Was this you woke up one day and said, I'm willing to do whatever it takes? Where did that come from?
I've always felt like if you put in that work, you could do anything. And the truth is, I've seen it. You put it to paper. It is amazing to me that Cornett, we just have a history. We say, this is where we're going. We set our eyes on it, and that's where we go. It is like time and time again. It's a combination of being really clear, being aligned, and then doing the work to get there. And every year we at Cornett work to be better, like demonstratively better than we were the year before. So some of it is just that mindset, of just a little bit better, a little bit better. And that compounds. And all of a sudden you look back and you're like, whoa, we are in significantly different place than we were. And but you get there by every day just working to be sharper, working to be critical about the work. And you have to balance that with the celebrations. And when you said, like, how do you know you could do it? Because I look back at what we've already done, and that proves to me that we can do it over and over again. And you just keep raising that bar a little bit. That mindset is just constant improvement, but also celebrating the great things that you're doing. That's how I lead too, as the owner of the agency. I see that as probably the biggest role, is making sure the team feels excited and they know they can do it because they've done it, but also inspired by the potential that remains in each of us and collectively.
We could hang out and just have amazing like conversations, because there's so much alignment. I think a few things that stuck out to me there is the concept of Kaizen, the continual improvement. Like, hey, that's a big part of our culture. How can we be 1% better at every area of the business every day? And having that kind of culture, I'll say right now, over a long period of time, people get it. They see how powerful that is. Another thing that stuck out to me, if people are listening, you didn't catch this, is you set the goal, you reverse engineer it to what's the steps in every single department to get there. But I think what you've really built momentum on is the team has seen you set the goal. They've seen you go through all the struggles, all the challenges, and despite that, hit the goal, set the next goal, go through all the struggles and challenges, and hit that next goal. So when you're at this point in momentum, what I'm really curious about is when you're setting that next goal, is there still, you're setting it big enough so there's some discomfort, but small enough so they still have confidence that they can pull it off? Like, how do you think about goal setting with your growth?
Well, let me answer it a little bit differently though.
Sure.
What I think about when you talk about like this environment and our culture, you have to have the trust to be able to be honest about the gaps, right? I mean, again, it is this balance of like, I love what we're doing. I love the work. It is really good. But I can also say to the team, here are the things that we could do better. And I'm not waiting for any outside feedback, I want to get ahead of that. I'm always looking, as much as I celebrate, I also look really critically and say, okay, here's what I think we could do, because that's the opportunity for our growth. And I don't want that to come from a partner for them to say, ooh, I wish this had been better. We don't wait for that. We look for that. And or what can I do to support you? Is it a matter of capacity that it wasn't as great as it could have been? Or is it something that we need to work on and go get additional training or skills, or just identifying, like, how are we going to get there? This was great. To get to the next step, what's that look like?
There is so many nuanced leadership lessons and skills that I see you have there. So, just like I went through a book recently, and I resonated with a lot, is the Toyota Way lean methodology. I don't know, incredible, but it's that concept of almost rewarding your team for finding where the gaps are in the SOPs, in the process, in the experience, and your culture. If I'm hearing right, it's like your culture becomes like part of the process is to find the flaws in the process so you can fix the flaws in the process before those flaws create problems with your customers.
Yeah, I mean, this is something that I say to everybody. What draws people to Cornett, at Cornett, but also just as a partner, as a brand to work with
Yeah.
us, you either spot the vision and catch it, and you see, like, oh, this is something really special. Most people catch that really quickly, and they want to be a part of that. So what
Wow.
we offer is an opportunity to be a part of building something really incredible that doesn't yet exist. If you are the type of person who wants to work with or at a place that is doing it the way everybody, that is great. But
Yeah.
that is not us. That's not the opportunity. We're building something really different and really special, and very clear about where we want to go from the beginning. This is the opportunity for that. So you come in with that mindset of we're working to be the best.
So it's not right or wrong whether people are like that or don't like that. The whole point in that is you're trying to attract the right talent that gets
Yeah.
bought into it. They want to be a part of the vision. They get excited, and you need that. It's almost like an entrepreneur, like people that are willing to be innovative, people that kind of are okay a little bit, bring order to chaos. Because if they're looking for just the perfect punch in, punch out, like that's cool. There's nothing wrong with that, but
This
it's
is not
just
us.
you're not going to enjoy working for us, kind of thing.
Right. When everybody joins, I always go to coffee, and one of the main takeaways there is we're doing a lot of things really well. Really proud of the work. I'm proud of the team. Happy with a lot of the process, but I'm not foolish enough to think that it's all perfect. And actually, what I need you to do is be looking for those opportunities that are going to make us better.
Wow.
Because I don't ever want anybody here, and there's no reason to, like, hit a wall multiple times. If you find yourself hitting a wall, come to me, and come to me with both a problem and also ideally a solution. It would be so much better if we did this. And then what people learn is we just do it. We don't just talk about things, we do it. That's the benefit of being independent. Also, we can change anything.
Wow. I think we could keep going down this vein. I think culture, vision, processes, team. It's a huge. I know to anybody that's listening to enough of our episodes knows that I built a company really fast without culture, without all that, and it crashed, and it wasn't fun. I was one of those stories, up and then down, and we really built a really stable culture. So we could go down this rabbit hole, and I think there's a lot of like great lessons to do. I'd love to shift just a little bit to hear how you view marketing, how you client acquisition and sales. At this point, is it mostly that growth year over year? Is this mostly about growing current accounts, or is part of the strategy about getting more accounts as well as growing accounts?
We have a lot of really wonderful relationships and organic growth. I would say there's organic growth, but then there's also just retention. pay
Mm.
a huge piece. And what I think too many leaders, especially in agencies, overlook is that retention piece to growth, right? Because it's if you're seeing people walk, then you're going to have to do a lot more and get a lot more in order to see growth. So retention is key for us. We have
Yes.
really long, wonderful, strong relationships with our clients. And some of those are really big, and some also are companies that have multiple brands in their portfolio, and they love working with us. And then they introduce us to other brands or bring us into additional work. So generally, growth for us, and I like to start smaller and then grow, just making sure that we work really well together and we find that good rhythm.
It is something that people overlook a lot when, because there's an excitement, there's a thrill to getting the deal, getting the close. But when you bring somebody on, that check that's written is a prepayment for services that have not been rendered yet. And so that's the celebration doesn't happen when the deal is signed, which I think a lot of times happens. The celebration happens when the client's going, man, this is really worth the money, and they want to keep working with you. And that's the lesson I know I personally had to learn early on in building an agency. I know I've seen a lot of people go up and go back down. Where Let's kind of shift just a little bit to what were some of the marketing strategies that you used.
Mm,
Maybe you had
sure.
a specific referral strategy, maybe you had a specific marketing or outbound strategy. What were the strategies you've used historically to get that new business in year over year?
The way that I think about new business, a lot of it is connected to visibility, just our share of voice in the industry. In order to be the best, our work has to be the best because that's what clients are looking for. I would say press is a big piece of it. A lot of the press that we get for our brands, we also push out within the trades. So press is big. But
No, no,
also
is this paid press, or you got? I know before we started recording, you were telling me that you had that spoof campaign that went viral, which was
Mhm.
beard advertising, where you were going to do advertisements in people's beards. Is it clever things like that that get you
Yes,
free press, or is it paid
yes.
press?
Earned is kind of our, that is, we have a, we have kind of a knack for those kind of ideas. And
Mm,
that allows our clients and their brands to just play bigger. What's the hook? What's the angle? What's the idea that's going to get us a lot of earned attention on top of the paid media? A lot of our creative team, and especially the leadership, they're students of it. They know what they write about. They've studied the publications that we want to be in. What do the editors write about? It's the same as relationships with clients. You got to build those.
sounds like you have a team, and you've attracted a team that is obsessed about what they do.
Yes.
You probably have a lot. I know we have a lot of people on our team that they're thinking about this stuff on Saturdays and Sundays, but they're not working Saturdays or Sundays, but they're coming in. Hey, I didn't coin my own name, but they call me Chief, and they call my co-founder Cindy Captain. And so they'll be like, it'll come in Monday. Hey, I thought of this idea, and I built out this little software over the weekend to help the team out. And so do you find that you have a team that's excited about this stuff? Like they're thinking about it
100%.
on the weekends?
I would say two pretty consistent qualifiers for those who come and join us here at Cornett. One is like, do you want to be a part of building something really remarkable? And then the other is like, do you believe in the power of creativity? I mean, this is a really creative but also inspired group. They love this business. We're a lot of us are just ad nerds, but we're really clear that we are not in the entertainment business. This is a
Mm,
business of building business using creativity, which I think makes it even more interesting and exciting because you got to be sharper, like
yeah.
it can't just be wild. It's got to be intentional in doing what it needs to do for the brands that we're trying to serve. So we're really clear on what we want them to do and how to use creativity to make that work in culture and be picked up and get attention.
To be really successful and with the agency you're running and in this world that you're in, it's highly, highly, highly competitive. So it's not just about coming up with some creative idea. There's so many, you have to understand business and be obsessed about the business model and the KPIs around all these things. And so when I hear a company that is doing as well as you are, I know that there's an obsession behind process behind it, because creativity, to repeat that over and over and over and over again, there has to be processes, SOPs. And so what I love when it looks so easy and effortless, like when I'm talking to you, Christy, it just seems like you wake up and great, brilliant, ad ideas come to you and the best talent comes and is attracted to you. But when I see things that come easy to somebody, it means that there was a lot of hard work that was put into to get to that point. So I just love to make a little bit of a shift and kind of ask, what are some of the biggest challenges that you've kind of faced growing the agency?
When I think we really hit our stride, and how I think we did that was separating strategy from account relationship. Because early on, the agency had a strategic mindset, like let's understand their business. But that business is not as interesting and exciting to the creative team. When we eventually got the strategy part of it right, where that team could come in and fully understand the business, the category, competitive, the market, also the consumer, but really distill that into something that excited and was like just an easy launch pad for the creative to work from. So it says, here is this insight, here is this rich, little, we call them kind of like sleeping giant insight. It was just kind of right there under the surface. You just got to wake it up. Once we figured out, okay, here's how we get to that. And then you bring in the creative and you excite them around the opportunity that exists with this consumer and exists, only for this brand. And then they can just fly, making it easy for them to get creative with the guardrails without knowing there's guardrails.
This is brilliant. Everybody listening, I don't know if you realize, but there's so much of what you're saying is making sure that you're setting up a context for every party involved in the process to get buy-in on the vision and excited for the work. You're really thinking through the process of what is going to get everybody motivated on this. How do I really channel this in a way that everybody's excited about doing this project together? Is this something that you've naturally just had as, you're very empathetic and you understand this process, or is this a lesson you've learned from a mentor? Where did you really think about understanding how to channel getting buy-in and getting people bought into the vision?
Well, I've been in this business a long time. I've worked with creatives a long time. I know now what they're motivated by, what excites them. And again, like you got to get to that place with creatives, because that's where the best work comes from. I don't know that that I knew that piece as early on in my career, but over time, absolutely, I learned what gets them excited. How do we get to the best work? Once we locked that in, you get people who want to do it, who want to do that,
Yes.
and who can do that. Wanting to do it and being able are not always the same.
Lovers will outwork workers every day.
I love this business. I have loved this business since I got into it. And I would tell you, when I stepped into the position of ownership, and now I talk to owners all over, and specifically female agency owners, because less than 1% of agencies are owned by women. So, and that is something I'm actively working to change. But now I love this business more now than, I even did in the beginning, and I didn't think that that would be possible. So
Yeah, I love that. So my co-founder, Cindy, she just we just made the Inc. 5,000 for 40th fastest growing marketing agency. And she's like, she's upset. She's from South Africa, Congolese. And I look around and I don't see not one Black woman in the lead generation space. And, it's for me, it's, a lot of people minus the beard kind of look like me. So when I see most of our leadership team is women. And so when I see women like you running a business and crushing it, my mom was a very strong woman. It makes me happy to see my co-founder, Cindy. She is by far the backbone of this company. I do the marketing and sales. And so I think I'm really, I want to see where you go with that, because as Warren Buffett says, to not bring women into the show is you're cutting off half the talent pool. And I've taken advantage of that. If you look at our leadership team, it's mostly women. Most of the rooms we're in, I'm like, hey guys, we're outnumbered, so we got to go with what they say. And so for you, is where did that kind of passion come from? Like, hey, I really want to see that change in the space. And did you feel, was there resistance in that you had to kind of outwork maybe what a male would have to do in the industry?
First, I would love to have your partner on our podcast. So Own It is the initiative that I started about 3 years ago, shortly after I purchased the agency. I started asking, and to be honest, it took me a while to say yes to stepping into the role of president, and then eventually ownership. I said no, actually, for a number of years, because
Wow.
I didn't see many women doing it. And the women that I
Mm,
did see doing it, they were not doing it in a way that felt like something I could, comfortably put on. It took me a number of years to prove I knew I could do it differently. I just didn't know if that would be successful also. So I needed to prove both. Yes, I could do it differently, and that people would enjoy that and really rally behind that, and they did. That part, that was easier. And then once I stepped into the role of president, then we started seeing tremendous growth and success the way that we wanted to. Again, just like setting our sights and then reaching it over and over. That then showed me, yes, I can do it differently and I can be successful. And then I bought it. And then I started asking, okay, how many others are doing this? And that's when I learned that less than 1% of agencies are
wow.
owned by women, which is ridiculous because 40% of businesses in the US are owned by women. So how could
Hmm.
it possibly be that low in the advertising business? But I've talked to over 100 agency owners on the podcast now, and it's a big, beautiful community. And I would love to have Cindy come on, share her
Of
story.
course.
The
Yeah.
podcast is all about just everyone's journey and path to ownership. Everyone has a really fantastic, and these are sharp, sharp women. A lot of women in the position of leadership in this business, but ownership is really where the power and the ability to change this industry sits.
There's a lot of value that we got today. I'll definitely connect you with Cindy. She'd love to chat with you, and I've really enjoyed our conversation as well. You do just incredible high level work. Who do you want to connect with? How can they connect with you?
Connect with me on LinkedIn. I love LinkedIn. I'm really active on there for both, for the agency, but also with the Own It initiative. I love talking and would love to talk to more female agency owners. If you are a female agency owner, you know a female agency owner that is not on our list on untilyouownit.com, send her my way.
Two call to actions there. One, if reach out if you're a female founder, and you want to get connected to Christy, 100%. And you're just a pleasure to speak with. Reach out to Christy. Now, if you're a CMO, if you're running, if you're working with a company and you're doing the marketing, reach out to Christy, have a conversation. Talking to Christy on the backside, I think one of the biggest things is you seem genuine. You're really big on how to retain clients, how to make sure the clients are happy. In an industry where, a lot of times it is, the agency space is, hey, they're so hyper focused on sales that they're not thinking about how do I keep the clients that I've got. And it seems like that you've got that down well. And it is a rare thing, but it is one of the big reasons why you've been able to sustain consistent growth year over year. If there was like the one biggest thing that we took away, it was that earned media, and I think there's probably so much secret sauce and just understanding the industry that it's hard to get away from that. But we actually had spent a ton of money with a PR person. Cindy and I we're pretty good with communicating with people, as that actually opened up a lot of doors for other things. And so when I'm hearing you talk about that, I'm like, you have turned that into a science. And I would, I don't want to steal all your secret sauce, but I would love to, maybe I'll get Cindy to get a little bit more out of you when you two meet.
Yeah, send her my way. I look forward to meeting her.
So just remember, domination is not a destination, it's a way of life. Stay winning.